Hey everyone, it's Thursday, January 14th. The time is 2:38 p.m. and the temperature right now is 4 degrees Celsius. I'm here in downtown Toronto and this is the intersection of King and University. There's a look south down University Avenue. This is the city's financial district. And the plan for this one is just to head on up to Bloor Street. And I'll travel along some various major streets as I make my way up there. This is the first day of the province's new stay-at-home order. So I thought it would be interesting to come out and take a look and see how that is faring. There's also some other new restrictions in place as of today. This is King and York Street. There's a look north up York. And I guess I should address the elephant in the room. If there's a stay-at-home order, what the heck am I doing out recording a walking video? And I think it's important to point out that I'm not actually breaking any of the rules by doing this. People are allowed to go outside for exercise, which is what I'm doing. I checked my Fitbit and I typically get at least 20,000 steps a day. There's very few days where I haven't got that much over the past 30 days or so. So walking is a big part of my daily routine. It's also pretty much the only thing I do to stay fit other than riding my bike. Also for people who aren't able to work from home. In most cases, they are allowed to leave the home for work. And again, it's hard to make these city exploration videos from home. So I think I'm justified on that front as well. That is First Canadian Place just on the left I'm walking by. Presently the tallest tower in Toronto, or rather building, I guess. The CN Tower is of course taller, and it won't have that title for long. It's also worth noting that this is my only job, at least at the moment, and I do report all the revenue to Revenue Canada and pay my taxes on it. So technically, I'm at work right now. I also don't think it's in the spirit of the stay-at-home orders to target individuals. It really seems to be large groups and gatherings and social get-togethers that they're trying to eliminate, and I think that will be reflected in the enforcement of these measures by the police. Although I'm certainly happy to explain my position if a police officer does ask me. And I'm relatively confident nothing will stem from that. In fact, I had heard earlier today that the police don't actually have a consistent plan in terms of what they will or won't be enforcing yet. So things are going to be pretty lax for today. And perhaps the next few days. There's a nice view of the CN Tower between the TD Centre. And this here is Bay Street. This intersection in particular, King and Bay, is pretty much known as being the heart of the financial district. There's someone there kind of mocking the new restrictions. To be clear, I have been following all the rules, so to speak, all along. Wearing face coverings wherever required, keeping distance and avoiding social gatherings. And I will talk a bit about what is allowed and what's not allowed. And hopefully this is the last video I make where I talk about these things and we can go back to just exploring the great streets of the city and the various neighborhoods in future videos.
This is the Union Station this way?
Yes, just keep going straight and it'll be right at Front Street on the right. Cheers. He was asking where Union Station was. At least he didn't ask me where Ontario Street was. Like in an earlier video someone did, and somehow that had completely slipped my mind. Of all the people to ask, she asked a guy that pretty much exclusively roams around the city. And he didn't know. There's the Bay Adelaide Center. This is Bay and Adelaide. So I pulled a list off of Huffington Post that lists the things you are allowed and aren't allowed to do, sort of broken down in layman's terms. So things like going out to buy groceries, medication, personal care items, and pet supplies is allowed. Sending a child who is too young to be in school to childcare. You can attend medical appointments and access mental health services. Those are obviously very important points. You can go to school if the school is open. Also, you can go to work if you cannot work from home, which is essentially what I'm doing. You can go outside for exercise, including to playgrounds, skating rinks, basketball courts, fields, cycling, and trails, but not places like ski resorts. It's my understanding that the city will continue to operate the skating rinks with the same reservation system in place and the same capacity limits and restrictions. You can pick up goods from stores that are able to offer curbside pickup. Although kind of dumbfoundingly, stores that don't offer or don't sell essential goods do have to close earlier. That's not something that really makes any sense at all to me. Those stores are already being penalized enough. You can visit with one other household if you live alone. So if you're like me and you're on your own, you're allowed to pick one other household and visit. And you can attend a wedding, funeral, or religious service if there are 10 or less people there. And everyone has to distance and wear a mask. You can have a domestic worker into your home if they care for a child or a senior or vulnerable person. And you can go to a secondary residence or cottage if you'll be there for less than 24 hours or at least 2 weeks. This here is Queen Street West, and there is City Hall across the street. There's a skating rink at Nathan Phillips Square, but I'll be heading in the opposite direction. You can also move or make arrangements to move. And that includes buying or selling a home. And you can go to the airport or train station if you are traveling outside of the province. So I think that's a list of the most applicable things that a person can or can't do. And under what are you not supposed to do, it says visit with a social circle or bubble of people you don't live with. And that's not been recommended since early October. You shouldn't go into work if it's possible to work from home. And I think there are already reports of people reporting their workplaces to the Ministry of Labor as they had worked from home earlier in the year and they're being called into the office now. I read of a few such cases on Reddit on my way over here. This is the Eaton Center we're walking by right now. You shouldn't travel within the province or stay in a short-term rental like an Airbnb, even if it's already booked. An exception is made if the rental is your housing. So in a nutshell, there's a list of things that would be applicable to most people. Here's the Eaton Center. These people would be heading in to pick up items. And this is the intersection of Queen and Yonge I'm approaching. So for me, these restrictions won't really change a whole lot. That car just made an improper left turn. That's why that guy honked. There's a look north up Yonge. Queen Station is right on this intersection. And there's a look south down Yonge. So I think what I'll do is I'll head up to maybe Gerrard and take that over to Church Street and then go north from there. That's probably the type of behavior that's not supposed to be happening right now. Although maybe they'll say they're exercising. I don't know if it's 5 or more or 5 of less. I know 5 is sort of the magic number in terms of groups that will be dispersed by the police if they're caught. So maybe they're okay. And I think these TTC vehicles are here because Line 1 is currently closed, or at least it was between Bloor and Union Station. When I was making my way down, I had to get off at Bloor Yonge Station. I was originally going to head down to Union and start walking north from there.
Is this the bus? Oh no, I know.
But the subway was closed for what they called an injury at track level. which is often code for someone jumped in front of a train, unfortunately. So at Bloor Yonge, I hopped on the subway and went west to St. George, and then I started going south, and I figured I would take that down to Yonge. But there must have been a heck of a logjam of trains, because we were literally sitting at every station for at least a good 6 or 7 minutes without moving, only to slowly lurch to the next stop. I must have lost about 40-45 minutes of time or so in total. I easily just could have walked from Bloor Yonge south. But that's why I ultimately just decided to get off at St. Andrew Station, where I started this. There's a look at the Eaton Centre. Who knows when this will fully be reopened. Two-piece chicken and fries for $4.99 at Paramount. Weekdays 11 a.m. till 4 p.m. I have a Paramount in my neighborhood, perhaps that'll be worth trying. Next up is a familiar spot. It'll be Yonge-Dundas and Dundas Square. Hopefully I can get back to exploring different neighborhoods and streets in a couple of days, rather than revisiting the more familiar areas such as this one. There's Dundas Square. And just on the southwest corner over there is where I witnessed what looked to be an assault a few days ago. And I'm pleased to say the police were able to catch the guy and take him in. Hopefully he'll be charged and ultimately justice will be served and he'll get the badly needed help he obviously needs. Here's a singing man. This guy's not going to follow any stay-at-home orders. He's kind of a fixture in my videos when I walk around these parts. Sometimes he'll be walking right down the middle of traffic, singing his little heart out. There seems to be a pretty big police presence here on the northeast corner of Yonge and Dundas. Just try to stay out of the way. Oh, there's more police over there. Oh, hello, Arthur. Oh, I'm just making a video for the channel tomorrow. All right, good to see you. There's a subscriber. He popped into the live stream yesterday. That was a fun experience. Ran into a few different subscribers doing the live streams. I'll just let him get a bit of space in front of me so it doesn't look like I'm following him. I will be turning onto Gerrard Street up ahead. But Yonge Street today doesn't really look much different than it's looked in recent weeks. I guess everyone's out exercising or making walking videos. There's a cannabis retailer. And just across the street is the new Jollibee, and again, there's no line up there.
I went home and I was like,
There's Ginger. I remember when this place used to be much bigger. They used to occupy the store beside it. And Zanzibar, of course. Who knows when they'll be able to open. That lady's just taking a casual bike ride down Yonge Street, airing out her grievances nice and loudly. So here is Yonge and Gerrard just up ahead. I talked about this a little bit in my last video, this construction site on the right here. That's a stalled project. The developer who was building this folded, and I don't think anyone stepped in yet to take over. So a fair bit of work had been done, but it's currently on pause, and that's a significant chunk of Yonge Street, so you'd like to see the city take some action to sort of incentivize a new developer to pick up and finish it. If they end up wanting to go with a radically different design, that might set us back years even of having a big unsightly hole on Yonge Street. There's Ryerson University. Just south of there, there is a public skating rink. So now that I'm east of Yonge, this would be considered the east side of downtown. A lot of these buildings around here are part of the Ryerson University campus. So from here I'll head up north and I'll walk up through the village, as it's called. That's sort of where the gay community in Toronto calls home. Although technically I don't think that starts until you get north of Wellesley. There's A&W. I think they're still offering free coffees. For the most part, I don't really see anything wrong with what's going on the streets. Everyone seems to be either alone or with just one other person. There's a look down McGill Street. And despite the gloomy skies, it's actually a pretty nice day. It's 4 degrees and there's no wind, so it's relatively mild. And just up here is Granby Street. And coming up is Carlton Street. When you are east of Yonge, it's called Carlton, and when you're west of Yonge, it is College Street. There's Maple Leaf Gardens, the former home of the Toronto Maple Leafs, who had their season opener last night versus Montreal. And I think they were successful in that effort, winning 5-4. I might be wrong on that. I am guilty of not being the world's biggest hockey fan. There's a supermarket in Maple Leaf Gardens and an LCBO, which is the provincially run liquor store. Although there's been a movement to purchase your alcohol elsewhere. A lot of bars and restaurants are offering takeout alcohol sales. And you can buy directly from craft brewers as well. It's just a little something extra that can be done to support those retailers. Or rather, restaurants and bars. I don't know if they count as retailers, but they certainly need more help than they're getting from the government. And now the sign indicates Church Wellesley Village. There's also a website that's sprung up called Not Uber Eats. And the idea there is the delivery services, such as Uber Eats, are taking a large cut from the restaurants themselves, and the general sentiment is, given that they're not able to serve customers indoors or even outdoors, which I think is kind of absurd, to be honest. And then on top of that, they're handing over 30% of their delivery fees, or 30% of their take to a delivery service, although I think that might be limited to 20% now under current legislation, but that's probably not enough. It's better that they get all of it. So that's the idea behind Not Uber Eats. Looks like a 15-story building is planned for this parking lot. So just up ahead is the intersection of Church and Wellesley. And I think what I'll do is, keeping in theme with this walk of staying on mostly the major streets, I'll just walk to the west back towards Yonge Street and past Wellesley Station. We'll get a look at what it's like in front of there. Sure, she's out for essential purposes. And there is Church and Wellesley. Now I'm heading west on the south side of Wellesley. So, break in traffic. It's the Paul Kane House Parquet. That's the Sunnybrook Hospital, Holland Orthopedic and Arthritic Center. And a Fox in the Fiddle, where I've seen many a UFC event. We've already started to see places like that fold up in fairly large numbers. Hopefully this one will pull through. And just up here on the right is Wellesley Station.
Yeah.
And it's back to the usually vibrant but always interesting Yonge Street. There's a look to the south. So I'll just head up to the intersection of Yonge and Bloor. And when I get there, I'll stop recording. I do have my gear with me. I'm thinking of maybe doing a relatively short live stream right after this. I don't normally like to keep myself busy on a Thursday night. I've kind of given myself Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights away from doing the YouTube thing. But it's still early in the day, and this is a relatively easy enough video to edit. It was about a week ago or so where I did a walk up Yonge Street. There's a look down Isabella. A car got honked at for stopping to wait for me to cross the street. It's not like I was walking slow or anything. And here is Charles Street. I did a walk along here not too long ago. You can look for that on the channel. I think it was within the last week. It certainly feels like it was quite recent. Hey, delivery driver walking his bike on the sidewalk. That guy should get a gold star. And I'm not being sarcastic. Too many of them. There's the guy on the other side of the street. Ride their bikes where they absolutely don't belong on the sidewalks. It's prohibited by law if you're over 14. And it's just kind of inconsiderate. That's certainly something I'll always be adamant about. You can always plan your route safely. If you're not comfortable on streets like Yonge Street, there's plenty of alternate routes. And there's Chick-fil-A also not lined up. I'm kind of tempted to go in there and have a bite. I've yet to actually experience Chick-fil-A. There's one Bloor West starting to rise. I think non-essential construction has to come to an end. So I'm not sure what that means for large construction sites like that. There's certainly a lot of activity going on at that construction site. And there's a look along Bloor Street. That is the Mink Mile and the Yorkville neighborhood. And perhaps there's been an incident in the subway station here at Bloor and Yonge. There's an ambulance with its lights on and a police car just pulled in behind it. Hopefully everyone's all right. But I think I will end this video. I just wanted to take a look around the streets of downtown on the first day of this stay-at-home order. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. If you wish to support the channel, you can check out Patreon membership. There is a link below, or channel membership. They're pretty much the same thing. There's a button to access the channel membership on the main YouTube page for this channel. I also have an Instagram account. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.